the woman they called a burden. At a family dinner, 8-year-old Evelyn sits quietly at the end of the table. Do you have any idea how much it costs to keep this house running with an extra person? Sarah rolls her eyes, clearly annoyed by her mother-in-law's presence. Lily barely looks up from her phone to acknowledge her grandmother. Grandma is becoming a burden. Mark constantly reminds everyone that he takes care of his mother. But the truth is hidden in the bags Evelyn carries home. She quietly pays the utility bills that keep the lights on. Every month, a transfer is made to keep this family afloat. Nobody knows. Everyone assumes Mark is the provider. Maybe it's time we looked into a nursing home. The words hang in the air like a cold mist. Everyone nods in agreement, even Lily. Evelyn lowers her eyes, saying nothing to defend herself. The decision seems made without a single thought for her feelings. In the quiet of her room, Evelyn looks at a photo of her late husband. She remembers the day she decided to use his estate to save their home. She has sacrificed so much for a family that sees her as a bill. The weight of their ingratitude is finally starting to show. A week later, Evelyn overhears them in the hallway. They're not just discussing nursing homes, they're planning a liquidation. We can get a good price for her vintage jewelry. They're arguing over who gets what before she's even gone. The betrayal cuts deeper than any physical wound. Then comes the cruelest blow of all. Let's be honest, Mom hasn't contributed much around here anyway. Evelyn hears the words and feels the final string of her heart snap. She quietly walks away, her footsteps unheard on the carpet. The time for silence has ended. That night, she makes one phone call that will change everything. Yes, this is Evelyn. I'd like to terminate all automatic mortgage transfers immediately. The person on the other end confirms the request. Evelyn hangs up and feels a weight lift off her shoulders. The next morning, a letter arrives with the Daily Mail. The bank informs Mark that future mortgage payments are due immediately. No more automatic transfers, no more grace period. Mark is confused. He thought the house was safe. He immediately picks up the phone to demand an explanation. There must be a mistake. My mortgage has always been paid. The representative is calm and professional. The account holder requested all support payments be terminated. What account holder? This is my house. Then he hears the name that shatters his reality, Evelyn. The air in the kitchen becomes thick with tension. Mom, the bank says you were paying for everything? Evelyn takes a sip of water before looking him in the eye. Since your father passed, I've been the one keeping this roof over your head. The shock on their faces is a mixture of guilt and terror. 6 years ago, when Mark lost his job, Evelyn stepped in. She used her late husband's estate to save the house. Not once, not twice, every month for 6 years. The mortgage wasn't being paid by Mark, it was all her. The family is stunned into silence by the magnitude of her help. Within weeks, the reality of their situation hits home. Creditors start calling, and the house feels colder. The family struggles to maintain the lifestyle they took for granted. Sarah apologizes, but the words feel hollow now. Lily finally realizes the truth of her grandmother's worth. Mark finds Evelyn packing her final suitcase. Mom, please, we can't do this without you. I'm so sorry. He admits he was wrong to call her a burden. Evelyn looks at him, but her decision is final. It's too late for apologies when the damage is already done. But Evelyn has already signed a new lease. Not for a nursing home, but for a beautiful senior community. A place where she is respected and appreciated for who she is. She is finally going to a home that feels like a home. The burden has finally been lifted from her heart. Mark asks one final question as she heads toward the car. Mom, why didn't you tell us everything you were doing for us? Evelyn pauses and turns to look at him one last time. She smiles a gentle, knowing smile. The people who appreciate you don't need proof. The people who don't appreciate you wouldn't believe it anyway. She walks away, leaving them to face the consequences of their actions. Fade out as a new chapter begins for the woman they called a burden.